All right, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Baruch double honor to the apostles, the bishops, the elders, the GMS. Shalom to you, brothers, that's preaching and teaching this truth in sincerity across the four winds of the earth. And it's going to be a short video. I want to play this, right, from yesterday, camp. And the dude, which you're going to see him walk by the camera, walks by as I'm talking about Esau and how they gave, Gad, smallpox, because before that I was talking about how there's not going to be no heathens in the chariots. Now Esau would be trying to figure out how the chariots work and then eventually try to steal them and so on and so forth. This is what I was saying. And I mentioned Gad being enslaved by the Edomites when they came over here with trying to be subtle, trying to ask them, how did this grow, and asking about questions about the crops and the food, and then eventually what did they do after they got all the information? Then they slayed Gad, right, and took over and the beginning of America, right, was started. In Esau's way. But I want to play this clip portion because Jay came up when I was mentioning that and talking about. He said to me, he was like, "Well, we're not in captivity." The same old nonsense that Jake, It's like I gotta let me get some water. Bear with me 1 second. Hold on. It's like, okay, that's better. All right, but when Esau came over here and enslaved Gad, and that's what I was saying. And then he came talking about we're not in captivity, right? Right? He was like, we're not in captivity, and so on and so forth. And then I start talking because it's like Jake comes up with that nonsense. And I know the elder Manata Zakba, right? There's a couple videos that he's made, right, with these people that's making these AI videos, talking about, oh, we in captivity, why are we in captivity, or so on and so forth, right? But the AI videos be having them with fringes on a car and a whole bunch of money, a tub full of money, and all these things. But it's like, just because you have these things, people see, the thing is, Jake thinks just because you have technology or you have a little bit of money or you have a little bit of abundance of something, that you're not in captivity, right? Captivity does not always just mean that you have chains on you, you get hung from a tree, they whipping you. That does not mean that every single time, man. You see, so you hear that word captivity and you think immediately slavery, chains, and being whipped, and that's the first thing that you think of. And because your ass got a car, you got a 1-bedroom apartment, your ass got some Jordans, you got some damn Levi pants, some True Religions, right? You got some Air Force Ones on. Your ass can order food from your phone. You can do all these things. You just think you're not in captivity. That doesn't make sense, man. All right, there was plenty of Israelites in every various captivity that we've been in that had substance, that had servants, that had money, that had, things. Right? In Egypt, there was Jake that had money. Right? There was Jake that was doing well for himself. Right? And that's why they was murmuring to Moses when they got in the wilderness. Them, well, let's go back to Egypt because we had this, we had that, and we don't have these things that we have out here. Right? And that's the same Jake back here today. No, we got a Mercedes car, man. We in captivity just because you need permission to leave the country. If you don't have a passport, your ass not going nowhere. You need to get permission to leave. Every time you go pay for something with paper money, you go in Walmart, you go in Kroger's, you go in the gas station, wherever you going, who faces on the money that you're paying with? And then let's say your total, whatever you got was $10, You gave them a 20, they're gonna give you a $10. They're gonna exchange that 20 that you gave them with an Edomite devil on it. They're gonna give you a $10 bill with an Edomite devil on it. Then you go put it in your wallet, and then what? It's the same, bro. You're in captivity, man. We don't have to try to explain this to Jake. But I want to play this portion. Let's play a little bit. I ain't gonna play the whole thing. Play a little bit, and then get some scriptures and close it down. That's what he do. Start signing bills and start doing the complete opposite of what he told the people that he was not gonna do. That's it. They can't not do it though. That's in their nature. That's how they were made. Deceptive. Yeah, I won't say a whole bunch of things, but I ain't gonna say it. Deceptive people, man. And then that's when they came over here to the Americas. Guess what they did? Guess what they did with Gad, man. And what is she doing? She just ripping up paper and just throwing it on the floor. We gotta get out of here, right? But that's what they did with Gad. Oh, how do you make this crop grow like that? Or what did you feed it? How many times did you water it a day? How much sunlight does it get? And then what did they do? Gave him smallpox. Gave him blankets filled with smallpox. Killed the animals. And there he is, right there. Now look at his condition. Look at his condition. Slaved them, killed the babies. And I did say in the thing to correct myself. I did say, because I didn't really remember, right? But I said enslaved them. But then in the video, the last couple minutes, I was saying that I didn't even mention nothing about captivity, right? Which I did though. They are. So now we know they can come down with great wrath. Right? Yeah. You're not a slave, okay? What? You're not a slave. You're not a slave no more. Okay? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm sorry, getting mad. That's not even his name.
Jesus. He's sharp.
Who is that?
Jesus.
You talking about you not in slavery, but come on, man. What are you talking about, Jake?
Look.
You come on. I don't got. All right, man. Just go up the street, man. You got Jake that's still. We're not in captivity. But you got payments. You look at it as 2/5 of the human, but you not in captivity. All right, man. All right, man. Go have a good day. Tell me we're not in slavery. Shut up, man. Hey, Jake, come in there. What is the purpose? And I wasn't even talking about slavery. Hey, but that's Jake. You come up and we are in slavery because I can walk around. Look at the condition you in. Like, what the hell are you talking about? We're not in slavery, but you literally walking around with everything that you have owned to your name on a stroller. But we're not in captivity. Okay, all right, man. That's you, Jake, man. And Jake, and Lord gonna destroy you people too. What did it say in Ezekiel? Slay utterly old and young, man. You coon Jake in that nasty, beat down old slave mentality, Christian Jesus Christ spirit, man. The Lord, yeah, okay, man. We gonna find out, man. When they come down, when they busting down people's doors, locking you in detention centers, we gonna see if you in captivity there. Like, you literally have a payment. You get taxed for everything. You gotta pay taxes on taxes. You got phone bills. You got rent. You got mortgage. You got all these things that you have, but you're not in captivity. When you pull out a dollar bill, when you go to McDonald's to get the big arch burger, who faces on the money? Like, what are you talking about, Jake? We're not in captivity. You're not in captivity because you can just walk around freely and beg people for money and beg people to give you a bit off burger, but you're not in captivity. What are you talking about? And why do people do that? What is wrong with Jake? Jake think because you get a PlayStation 5, you get a damn 2-bedroom apartment, now you're not in captivity no more. Hey, what is, you get this? Yeah, you niggas, man. We tired of looking at you people. Right. And tired of being around you people. Right? So let's get the definition of captivity, right?
Captivity,
right, is the condition of being confined, imprisoned, or restrained, preventing free movement or the ability to leave. Do you have the ability to leave and escape Esau's rule? No, you don't. It applies to both humans, hostages, prisoners of war, and animals in zoos, laboratories, or as pets. Right? It says human confinement, involuntary restriction of liberty, such as imprisonment, enslavement, or being held as a hostage. A state of being mentally, emotionally, and spiritually trapped by circumstances or habits. Now let's go to this. Exodus 21 and 16. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. Who does that describe? Were we not stolen? And then were we not sold? And are we not still found in the hands of all the other two previous things? Yes. So what's going to happen to the people that did that? Because we are in captivity. When you read Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, let's go to it real quick. It's kind of like go back to the basics. When you go to Deuteronomy 28 to 68, what did it say was going to happen? Deuteronomy 28 and 68. It reads, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. It says, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. No man shall redeem you. That word buy right there, right? It means redeem. And from these conditions, the only person that's able to do that, to liberate us, to save us from this situation and the condition that we're in, is Yahweh Shai, man. But let's look up the word bondman. What does a bondman mean?
Strong's H 5650. Eved.
Slave. Ooh, look at that one. Servants, worshipers of the Most High. Servant in special sense as prophet, Levite, servant of Israel. See, that's what a bondman is. Now, when we came over here in captivity, we were sold for bondmen, servants. That is a form of captivity. Oh, wrong one. There we go. It says captivity is a condition of being confined, imprisoned, or restrained, preventing free movement or the ability to leave. Right. Let's see. Let's go. Oh, wait. No, that's that. Let's get the etymology. Right. Let's see what the etymology of captivity means. Captivity traces back to the late 14th century, deriving from the Old French captivite. It says in Latin captivitas, meaning state of being, meaning the state of being a prisoner. These words ultimately stem from the Latin root capare, it says, which means to take hold or seize. Caught. To grasp, which connects captivity to other English words like capture, accept, and capable. Initially emerging from in the 14th century to describe the literal state of being a prisoner of war or captive, right? And that does not mean that you're constantly, when you're in captivity, you're just subject to getting beat on 24/7, just like how they had us, because that's what he was talking about. He immediately thought when he heard enslaved and captivity and whatever the case, he thought immediately chains hung from the tree, whipped, and so on and so forth. It does not mean that. It said it began to be used figuratively. It says to describe being subject to bondage, servitude, or inability to exercise free will, right? And we know free will doesn't exist, right? But in this instance, right, you don't have the freedom to pretty much do as you please. And in this place, they say you have freedom of speech. You have freedom to do this. You have freedom. But everything you do, when you say something they don't like, they take your video down. They flag it. Delete the video. Delete the channel. You try to leave the state without permission. You get in trouble. You get a fine. You really can't even leave. You need a passport. You need some form of identification. Because your ID and driver's license is not good enough. You need another form of identification for you to leave and go to another country. That is captivity, man. Then you subject to payments, right? Every time you get paid, you got the money immediately goes straight to something. Whether it's groceries, a phone bill, car insurance, car bill, whatever the case, rent. Some broke. You got to pay to fix something. That is captivity, man. And then let's get The Good News Translation in Baruch 3, because I read this in the thing, but I'm going to read it here again, but I didn't read it in the GNT. We're going to start right at the top. It says, O Lord Almighty, God of Israel. It says, from the depth of our troubled, weary souls, we cry out to you. Hear us, O Lord, and have mercy on us because we have sinned against you. You reign as king forever. It says, but we die and are gone forever. O Lord Almighty, God of Israel, it says, hear our prayer. We are no better off than the dead. It says, our ancestors sinned against you. The Lord, their power. It says, they refuse to obey you, and we are suffering the consequences of their sins. It says, forget the sinful things that our ancestors did in the past. At a time like this, think only of your power and reputation. It says, for you are the Lord, our power, and we will praise you. You have made us fear you so that we might pray to you. Here in exile, we will praise you because we have turned away from the sins of our ancestors. You have scattered us among the nations, and you have made them despise and curse us. You are punishing us for the sins of our ancestors when they rebelled against you, the Lord, our power. And then and when you get it in the KJV, let's get that real fast. Where is it at? There we go. Right? Okay, well, it's being weird. Let's just type this in. Baruch 3. Baruch 3. In verse 7. It says, and for this cause thou hast put thy fear in our hearts. It says, to the intent that we should call upon thy name and praise thee in our captivity, for we have called to mind all iniquity of our forefathers that sinned before thee. Hold on, hold on. Here we go. Wait, no. Oh, yeah. Verse 8. I just kept reading down. It says, behold, it says, we are yet this day in our captivity. He said, where thou hast scattered us for reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments. That's a form of captivity, being subject to payments. Are you not subject to payments? The answer is yes. According to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our power. Hear, Israel, the commandments of life. Give ear to understand wisdom. We are yet this day in our captivity. When we read Deuteronomy 28:68, that was us being sold. And when you read up to 64, I believe, right, that talks about the scattering. The Lord was going to scatter us, right? And now in our captivity, we are remembering ourselves. And we're coming back into who we are. We're understanding our culture, what we used to eat, the diet, and so on and so forth. However, that does not make it not that we're not in captivity, if that made sense. Probably jumbled up a whole bunch of words right there, but you get the point. We are still in captivity. Just because you have so-called freedom to go drive your car, you can go to the movies, you can go to the mall, you can just go walk around downtown, you can go walk with your lady, you can go ride a bike. You go talk on your phone, sitting out on your balcony on your porch at nighttime. That does not mean that you're not in captivity, man. The Lord is coming to get us from captivity. What do you people? And Jake don't know nothing about the Bible, the scriptures, none of that. And I don't know what he said. When he said Jesus, I was like, that's not even his name. Then he said like Yeshua. I don't know what he exactly said. I couldn't barely hear him. Even in the video, you can barely hear him. He said somewhat a why, though. Jake walking around thinking because you have luxuries does not equate freedom, man. Even Dwayne, The Rock, Kevin Hart, and all these Drake, LeBron, they're in captivity. Is their captivity a little easier and a little lighter than most people's? The answer is yes, of course. But it does not mean that they're not in captivity, man. If LeBron James was to do something against Esau's laws and get pulled over by the cops, They ain't going, oh, it's LeBron, oh, leave him alone. And I made videos about that. It was plenty of football players and all these people that had money and fame in this society. And then when they get in trouble with the law, they get treated just like a nigga. Just like how Kanye made that song. What is that? We all fall down. But he said the white men get paid off all that. And then he was saying, I forgot exactly what he was saying, but he was like, he said, you still a nigga in a coop. Right? He said a little bit before that, but that was the point, right? These people, it doesn't matter how much money you have, don't matter what you do, how you look. You can have riches, you can have nice cars, but guess what? You just a nigga in the Mercedes. You just a nigga in the Lamborghini. You just a nigga with a mansion. They're still gonna look at you as a nigga. It does not matter how much money you have. You're in captivity, man, and you're subject to Esau and his laws and his rules. And if you break them, it doesn't matter who you are, they're going to throw your ass in prison.